Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Box of Roses podcast. I'm Xander Rose, and today's special guest is none other than Ollie Wood.
Yeah, dog, that's Ollie Wood, as in tree. And I was VCW's Mr. Perfect Wave. But unfortunately, man, I came up a little bit short against VCW's Captain Buzzkill, Tony Stress, at the last show. So I need a new moniker to go by because Mr. Perfect Wave doesn't work anymore as good as it is. But that's something I'm working on. But yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, mate, I'm pretty good. Just busy with with the podcast and with the Box of Roses show that we're doing now. So no, it's fantastic. Really enjoying it.
No, man,
Um,
I seen you had Chris Zorber on. Big fan of that guy. It's good. I like your work, man.
yeah, thanks, buddy. Yeah, cheers. So I'm doing it with someone else as well. His name's Alex Box. He's a good little lad. I don't mind the kid. Yeah, he'll be on soon, giving us a hand. Not on this show, but on another show to come. Mate, when did you start watching wrestling?
Dude, I have some very fond memories of discovering wrestling, and I think a lot of people have sort of a similar experience, man. It's just like one day you're flicking through the TV channels, and then all of a sudden, my experience flicking through the TV channels, and I see this guy with blonde hair, just blood everywhere, just caked in blood. And 7 or 8 year old me was just like, "Oh my god, what is it?" And I quickly changed the channel, man, because I was like, oh my god, I didn't think I should be watching this as like a 7, 8 year old, man. So that was around about 2003 or four, I think. So yeah, the first person that I saw, later learned, was Ric Flair, and of course Ric Flair's busted open and bleeding everywhere. But the first matches that I remember watching was Eddie Guerrero and Chavo Guerrero taking on the world's greatest tag team. And growing up with a brother, tag team wrestling is just something that every brother wants to do with their brother. And you practice on the trampoline, and now I'm a grown man and I get to do it for real, which is pretty cool, man.
No, awesome, awesome. So you were watching the Nature Boy, eh? Woo, Mister Ric
Yeah.
Flair.
Oh yeah, like not so much of his match. I was more of a SmackDown guy. So Eddie and Kurt and Ray and all those guys. I think Ric Flair. I think that's about the time that he was in Evolution over on Raw. But I never really watched. I was more Team SmackDown. That was on the weekends, so it was a bit easier to watch. But big fan of Ric Flair for sure.
Nice. So, like your favorite wrestler when you were younger?
Definitely Eddie, man. I loved Eddie because I feel like he could do it all, man. He could be serious, he could be funny, he could play off the crowd, he could make you love him, make you hate him, and just his cheeky smile, man. I as a kid I just thought he was the coolest guy in the world. And then, as I got a bit older, the likes of Jeff Hardy and RVD were always pretty high up there as well. And also, man, I watched a bit of TNA growing up as well. So Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, Low Key, Jerry Lynn, all those guys. Anybody that does some of the high flying moves and stuff, I've always kind of gravitated towards and enjoyed.
But that's the thing with Eddie Guerrero too. He wasn't just a high flyer. Like he could
Nah,
go.
man, he could
Oh
do
mate,
anything
he
and
was.
everything.
Yeah, like I just saw a match of his the other day. It was against Kurt Angle, and I tell you what, them two, mate,
Yeah.
it was just pure genius. Like in the ring, both of them, like the way they could tell a story and their mat skills and their high flying ability and just the way he did everything was just really good to see. Like he's so good, mate, Eddie. Like
Yeah, he
and
was.
honestly, like there's obviously a lot of wrestlers that have passed. I remember being really upset when Owen Hart died.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was 97 or 98,
yeah.
and I was upset at that. But I'll tell you what, when Eddie died, mate, it really broke me, because it was just so sad. I mean, it's sad for any wrestler to die, but just Eddie, mate, he was so charismatic, wasn't he? He's just, yeah.
He
Really,
was.
really, really
I
good.
can. I still remember the day that that Eddie died. I remember coming home from some sort of training. I forget where I was, but my dad picked me up and he's like, "Son, I got something to tell you." And he's like, "Eddie Guerrero passed away." And when you're a kid, you don't grasp what that is, like someone dying or not being there, especially like wrestling. You go, oh, he'll come back. But I remember watching that Raw tribute show, and just still to this day, man, it makes me sad. But he'll forever, he won't grow old like the rest of us. You know what I mean? He'll always be that in the prime, entertaining those crowds. Like that's how he'll be remembered, and that's awesome.
Yeah. So, which wrestler like inspired you?
Today, like I like to watch a lot of different wrestling. Like I obviously you grow up watching the WWE and the AEW, but I'm always a fan of like smaller, like less popular kind of indie stuff, not just
Indie,
with
yeah.
wrestling, just in everything. I have a thing that where people, if everyone likes it, I'm not on board. But so a guy that I am a huge fan of these days is a guy called Dalton Castle. He wrestles for Ring of Honor, and he he's one of those guys that doesn't take himself too seriously. Like he comes to the ring dressed as a peacock with his boys, and so he's he's very flamboyant. Like honestly, if you're listening to this and you don't know who Dalton Castle is, just type in Dalton Castle entrance video or entrances, man, because he's very much a showman. But then when it comes time to wrestle, man, he's got some serious moves in there, like some does suplexes. I think he's trained as an amateur wrestler, so he's grappling and stuff
So
is
noticed.
amazing. Yeah, but he's also he understands that showman side of professional wrestling, like Eddie did, not in the same way, but he understands how to play off the crowd and how to like tell a story, because sometimes you find that like everybody wants to be this big tough man, but you can't, like in wrestling, man, you can't, everyone can't be doing the same thing. You can't have the same guy or every guy being like, I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin, I'm the badass. It doesn't work. You need, just like in life, man, you need all different people doing different things in order to make a show work and a show to be interesting. So I really like Dalton because he does have those skills, but he also understands the other part of wrestling.
Yeah, it's what makes it special. You know, everyone's got their character, and they bring something different to the table. And I think it's very important for any company, any wrestling company to have. You can't just have, like you said, you know, that sort of badass guy that everyone, you know, like the Stone Colds or, you know, the Moxleys or something like that. You can't have all those sort of guys. So it is important to have different characters in there. And it's sort of, it fills that picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yep, sure.
It's really good to have in the company. You know, a little bit of diversity and
Yeah.
you know, difference. But
And then also,
I
sorry,
mean,
just before we move on from Ring of Honor, they also, I don't know if people are watching at the moment, but they have the Pure Wrestling belt or title. I think Jonathan Gresham's the current champion, so that's like a whole different style of wrestling as well. So that, again, that's why I like these smaller things, because WWE, they have this tried and tested product, but then there's all these other little promotions out there like offering something different. So they just wanted to touch on that.
I mean, for me personally, I don't watch much WWE at the moment. I'm more
Mm.
of a AEW mark at the moment. I
Oh
don't know, I
yeah,
can't
man,
get enough of it. I
good
can't get
stuff.
enough of that. And I don't care what anyone says, but I love AEW. So, I mean, for you, what's your favorite wrestling show at the moment? I know you were talking about Ring of Honor, but
Yeah,
what's
definitely
really, you
like
know?
Dynamite, man. I can't get enough of Dynamite. As I was saying before, growing up watching tag team wrestling with the Los Guerreros and the world's greatest tag team, and you know, RVD and Rey Mysterio. It's the tag team division in AEW Dynamite is just, it's insane. I
Isn't it?
love it. The
Oh,
and just the
it's so good.
It's the amount of talent that they have is just it's absurd. And like the Young Bucks, I'm a huge Young Bucks mark, but they just seem to be able to have a good match with anyone. Even who's in FTR or the Revival. Like I feel like the tag division over in WWE just it doesn't have the same feeling as the tag team matches over in AEW. So even getting to watch them wrestle, I was like, oh my god, man, these guys are incredible. And then you got the Lucha Brothers, and it's
Oh,
just
mate,
it's
stop, stop.
Ray Phoenix, man. The stuff he can do
Oh
is
my
just
god. Oh my
is absurd.
But you talk about quickly, just I mean WWE tag team. I mean Vince McMahon was never a big fan of tag matches, so you can see like I know there was a little bit of spell there where tag team wasn't too bad, but like overall, he's not really a big fan of. He doesn't really think of it as a money making machine. I just think it's really good to have. You know what I mean? Because there's some fantastic tag matches out there and tag teams out there. So
Oh
it
yeah.
is very important, I think, for a federation to have
But
good tag.
again as well, like even like within a wrestling organization, you don't want everyone doing the same character, but then at the same time, you don't want all the companies focusing on the same thing. So like even like there's stuff that WWE does, it's really really good. But yeah, the AEW tag division is by far the strongest in my opinion, or from what I've seen. I'm sure there's other stuff out there.
No, so obviously you haven't been wrestling for that long, but when did you start wrestling?
Yeah, so I started maybe 13, 14 months ago. Yeah, about just over a year ago. So yeah, just about a year. So I'm still relatively kind of new to the wrestling scene and wrestling as a performer as well. But being a lifelong fan, so it's fun to be doing it, man.
It was great actually going to watch you at training once. Came and seen the guys there, see how they were, and I was like, oh, this is the new guy, sort of Ollie. Oh yeah, and I was like, you know what, you can go. It was really good to see, man. You're doing very
Appreciate it.
good.
Thank you, man. It's there's plenty of serious talent down there at VCW to try and learn off. So this is what I'm trying to just try to be a sponge and take in as much experience and knowledge from the guys there, because there's some seriously talented guys down there, and they're very kind with their time and their teaching. So it's yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be down there, and I appreciate your kind words, man.
No, and you talk about the guys there. I mean, they are, for me, they're like family. Like I really got
Yeah.
along with those guys, and I love those boys. I really do. I keep saying the same thing, but I really do love those guys, and the memories that I had there at VCW, I'll never forget. So it's a very special place in my heart, VCW. Yeah. So I mean, what was it like having, or what is it like? Sorry, having Vulcan as a wrestling coach.
He is the man. I love Volk. He's he is a ledge. He is a legend. He's got a lot of knowledge to pass on, and he can be quite tough on you, man. But I think sometimes that's what you need in a coach and a mentor. You want someone that'll push you and make you the best performer or person or whatever it is that you're doing that you can be. And I definitely think he pushes us, and he also like he doesn't allow any kind of like negative energy to be at the school. And in VCW, he kind of stamps it out pretty quickly. So it's quite a refreshing and nice environment to be in, man. As you're saying, like it's just the environment there is top notch, man.
Yeah, I mean, what I like about Vulcan is he's like if he doesn't like what you're doing, he would call you out straight away and say, "Hey, that's shit. Just stop.
Exactly,
That's
and
shit.
that's what you
Do
need,
it
man.
again."
When you're learning, you don't want someone to go, "That's awesome," when it's not, because then how do you learn if someone's not like telling you what you're doing wrong? And I think he does that really well. He's not afraid to be the bad guy. And even some of the more experienced wrestlers there, they'll pull you up, and not out of a place of malice. It's just they want you to be as good as you can be. So it's yeah, it's a great environment, man. Like you were saying, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, that's right. So last show you had a cruiserweight title shot against none other than the unforgettable Tony
Tony Stressed.
Cruz.
Tony Stressed, man. Tony Stressed is his name. He's
Brought,
he's a pretty wound up young man, and he's but a hell of a wrestler. But to be honest, man, I enjoy being under Tony's skin. I got to challenge him to a match on the night and cut a promo on him, man. And I feel like, man, he's a yin to my yang, man. And I came up short this time, but I feel like there's many more sort of chapters in the Hollywood Tony Cruz sort of ongoing story. But I'm not sure if you were at the match, but Tony had some muscle on the outside, Mister
right.
Mr. Gat himself, and he kept kind of inserting himself into the title match, and he ended up getting sent away from ringside because he couldn't be trusted, man. So I think I've got a feeling, man, that I've got a date with young Gat, maybe at our next show, not confirmed though. But yeah, it was good, man. I enjoyed being in the semi-main event, showing what I can do. I think we had a pretty good match. As I said, I'm still fairly new at doing this, but I could, I can see lots of potential down the line there for some more Tony Cruz Hollywood matches, whether it's for the cruiserweight title or not. I think we work well together, man.
No, it's good. So obviously your career so far as a pro wrestler isn't that long. It's pretty short. But I mean, what are your highlights so far?
Well, man, I did get to ride Tony Cruz like he was a surfboard when he went to do the drop down, which is pretty cool. which, if you guys are on TikTok, I made a very funny TikTok of me riding Tony. Actually, several funny TikToks of mine and Tony's match. But to be honest, man, the thing that I enjoy most is the shows. But then after the shows, all the VCW fans come up and they ask for photos and ask you to sign things, and they come up and tell you how much they enjoyed the show. And that's really my favorite part of being a wrestler. It's just that connection with our audience. Like, we've got a pretty loyal fan base over at VCW. So it's to see the same faces and to try and entertain them. That's really given me some good vibes, man. Some good vibes.
What was your feeling when you came out for the first time through the curtain and your song was coming on and then you just come through and it's like, what was the feeling there just before you came out?
It was to be actually my good friend Rusty Colt, who's moved on to bigger and better things, but he actually he filmed the minute leading up to me going through the curtain and out for the first time. So I've watched that back multiple times, and to be honest, like when I don't really get nervous, like I'm a pretty like level-headed dude, but I just I sat in the moment, man. And then as I went through the curtain, and then I saw all the faces, and I was just thinking to myself, this is the coolest thing, or one of the coolest things you've ever done, man. So I tried to live in it and experience it, because I knew that feeling is never going to be the same again. Even like in the last show, I was in like a much higher up on the card, but it wasn't that same as that first time. So it's just a buzz, man. And I lived in it, I would say.
Yeah, well, you nailed it on the head. You're not going to get that same reaction again. It's that feeling that first time going through the curtain. It's an unbelievable feeling. It's like, 100 different drugs in one, and it just hits you there, and it's like, wow, what was that? Especially if you've got a big crowd there, for you, and then hear this massive pop, and it's like, man, what is this? It's like you feel like the biggest superstar. It's the best feeling. You can't beat it. So,
yeah, and I feel like I didn't come down for like 2 days. I was so just buzzed. It was the best. And like I wrestled Tommy Renegade in my first match, and he kicked the crap out of me. But and on the night I couldn't feel it, but after 2 days I was like, oh my god, this guy just stomped the crap out of me. But it was good, and plus I beat him, so it's always nice. It makes you feel better when you get the win on your first one. But
another loss for the Renegade.
Oh yes.
He won't like
that. Shout out to Tommy Renegade. I know he's a longtime fan.
Look, I love Tommy. Tommy, I love you, Mr. Renegade. Okay, so look, your goals for VCW in the future, what are they? What do you reckon? Where can you go?
Well, to be honest, man, if you watch my very first promo that I cut on Tommy Renegade when I was first getting to VCW, I said that I am here to win titles, and man, that cruiserweight title is something that I really have my eye on, but I am in it for the journey, man. So I just going to kind of enjoy the ride, and the goal is to get to that cruiserweight title, but I know that there's going to be a lot of matches in between here and there, wins and losses. But I encourage people and the Hollywood fans to just ride that roller coaster with me, man, because those in life you have like ups and downs, but the ups don't feel like ups unless you have those downs. So I encourage those fans, those VCW Hollywood fans, to join me on this ride of ups and downs as I try and make my way to that cruiserweight title. But yeah, that's my big goal, and I'm not sure when I'll get there, but I want to get there. I want to hold that title that Tony's had for a long time. That's my goal, man. So that's where I want to get to, and I'm going to keep putting in the work, man. Even whether it's in the gym, in the ring, if it's fitness, that's where I want to get to, man. It's gonna be a hell of a journey. What's
with the lime green, the color that you've chosen as your wrestling attire?
Well, my background is a designer. So I came into the wrestling looking at it not just as a wrestler, but like looking at it as like a living and breathing artwork that you keep adding to. So for like the Hollywood logo, I drew that.
As you live and breathe. Oh, that's someone else's thing. Oh, sorry, that's someone else's.
No. Yeah. No, I'm talking about like wrestling as a whole is a living, breathing piece of art that you're always
as
like
live and breathe. As I live and breathe.
Oh,
is that your stick?
That's the big banana. That's the big banana, Big Lee.
I know. I don't know. I just got some flashbacks there. I didn't know what I was doing there. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm being very rude.
No, Big Lee. I know you're a big fan of the show too, and I wouldn't actually mind tussling with Big Lee Moreau down the line sometime as well. I feel like
it'd be great for one show not to talk about that guy. He just for some reason gravitates. Like we just can't stop talking about him. We've got to stop talking about him because he just gets a big head.
Yeah, he's working heel 24/7, man. But he is a stud, and he is a really, really good wrestler, and we're very lucky to have him at VCW. But he's probably destined for bigger and better things one day. But I'd be lying if I didn't say that I want a piece of Big Lee before he goes off into the sunset to pursue bigger and better things. But yeah, the green. Sorry, man, I got a little bit off track there. But yeah, so I came into wrestling looking at it as like as a living, breathing artwork to constantly be adding to, whether it was the branding of my character, or it was like my moves, or it's the social stuff. So I had to look around everyone else at VCW, and everyone's wearing like black and red and black and white. So I wanted to stand out and be something a little bit different, and kind of, yeah, just give my chance to stand out among all the other wrestlers. So yeah, lime green was the brightest color I could find at this t-shirt printing place. So I just went with that, and that's kind of like my color now. And if you look at the crowds in the VCW shows, I get a lot of different colored Hollywood signs printed, like pinks and greens and blues and reds, and it's very distinguished out in the crowd. When you look out, you can see those colorful Hollywood signs, and people bring them up and get them signed at the end of shows, and it's cool, man. But yeah, so just wanted to stand out.
Who's the nicest guy in VCW?
To be honest, man, I think you would attest to this too, but Chris Zorba, man, the like, not community sport, because this isn't community sport, but community like organizations don't work without people like Chris Zorba. He gives so much of his time, and just like the amount of stuff that Chris does for VCW is doesn't go not appreciated from me. And I always be sure to tell Chris what a great job he does, because he is one of the people that helps make VCW what it is. And he's just a genuinely nice guy. But funnily enough, he's actually my dad's favorite wrestler. So every time my dad comes to the shows, he's always getting a photo with Chris, so I'm trying to actually coach Chris out of retirement to come wrestle me so I can win my dad's love. But
yeah,
but
good luck with that one.
So I've heard
No,
that
but
he's
he probably does want to get back in the ring.
He does.
Yeah,
There's a little part of him that wants it, man, and I keep trying to pull it out. So, Chris, if you're listening, man, come wrestle me.
Oh god, who's the biggest grub or pest in VCW?
To be honest, man, it's a real good crew. I think everyone's kind of like real. It's a good roster, but for some reason, man, me and Tony Cruz, we're so polar opposite, man. I can't help but want to wrestle him. He's so tightly strung, and I'm not, man. I'm the complete opposite. So I wouldn't call him a grub, but he's definitely someone that I want a piece of, to be honest.
He's very cocky, isn't he? He just thinks
He is.
he owns the world. Like, he does get irritating sometimes. I won't lie to you. He just. But who's helped you the most in VCW?
To be honest, man, there's a lot of like older veteran guys that have always had time for me. And as I was saying earlier on, I'm just trying to be a sponge and soak up as much knowledge as I can, because I'm still new to this and still learning. But Everett, like, man, we used to ride in the car a lot with Rusty Colt, and he's been doing it a long time, and just talking over why you do stuff. Rusty was really good for that, and believe it or not, Mr. Big Lee Moreau, he's got a lot of time and knowledge to share as well, which he's quite good at. So yeah, probably those two, I would say. And Villa, of course, probably the most, or Darius Vega, probably the most successful wrestler coming out of VCW, I would say. So he taught me a lot of the fundamentals and basics, and then the other guys are kind of teaching me stuff, and I'm just trying to add it on to this building.
Villa, he's the first young lion, Australian young lion, isn't he?
Yeah, man, he's another just superstar. So there's a few guys at VCW that I believe are destined for bigger, better things overseas. You can already see Villa doing that. Rusty's over in the UK trying to do that. I think Liam's probably another one that will go over and do that at some point. So we're quite lucky in that sense that we can have these like just studs around to teach us stuff, man. So it's yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure Villa or Darius went over to New Japan too. So yeah, man, he's great.
But Rusty, let me tell you, he's another kettle of fish, Rusty. Like I love
I
Rusty.
love Rusty. Yeah, and I'm excited, man, to he's over in the UK now, and I'm excited to see what he does over there because yeah, his knowledge for pro wrestling is pretty immense, and not even just pro wrestling, like his understanding of storytelling. You can see that in like the videos and movies that he makes. He's pretty good, man. So yeah, I'm excited for Rusty to see what he does.
Definitely. And his promos, his videos, mate,
Yeah, man.
they are, and I'm not kidding, they are like the best I've seen. Like it's almost as good as like a, WWE or AEW sort of, video that they do. It's that good. It's like, man, this guy, he must think about this shit all the time. It's unbelievable.
I think
Like,
the thing about Rusty is he has a very good understanding of his character, and he portrays that in a very kind of artistic way, and it comes across very professional. So yeah, no, I completely agree with you, Xander. It's pretty cool.
yeah, no, he's and you know what too, I've learned a lot from him too. He used to come in every now and then to training.
Mm-hmm.
Not to train, not to train. He never trained, but he used to come down and just like, he'd just stay at the ropes, and then
Mm-hmm.
he'd be like, you know what, that's good. Or then he'll come and go, you know what you're doing is really good, but maybe don't duck so low, or maybe you need to get a bit higher in your jump, or whatever. You know what I mean? Or bit better snap when you know what I mean, move your body this way or do that. These little things, as a wrestler, when you start, it's very important to have these people there because when you do a suplex or when you do something, it's like you can't see yourself doing it. So you need to have these guys there watching you and going, you know what, you got to do it like this, you got to do it like that. So Rusty was one of those guys, mate. He was always there to give you, put his little 2 cents in, and it
Yeah.
was much appreciated. You know what I mean?
I actually one of my first like full matches that I did at training was a tag team match. So it was me and Rusty versus Cruz and Tommy Renegade, and the stuff that I learned just being in the ring and tagging with him across from Cruz and Renegade was just, it was awesome, man. There's so much knowledge there, and you don't get it until you're in there doing it. But yeah, man, superstar.
No, that's good, awesome. So, mate, like, how can people find you on your social media or social medias?
Yeah, man. So I got a Twitter, which I post a lot of stuff on. So my Twitter is at Sweet27, which is SUITE20SEVEN. So I post a lot of stuff on Twitter. I have a TikTok, as I was mentioning before as well. So you can, if you want to see some funny moments with Tony Cruz and me, and some other stuff on there, that's Ollie Wood _ pro wrestler. And then yeah, just those two, man. If you reach out on there, and I'm always happy to talk to our fans and your fans, obviously, from the podcast.
That's going to do us for today, mate. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. Definitely going to have you on again. But it's been fantastic, mate. Thank you very much again. And
No worries
mate,
at
I
all,
wish you
man.
all the
Thanks for
best.
having me.
No problem. I wish you all the best and good luck with your VCW career and your wrestling career.
Thanks, Chief.